What are undefined variables in JavaScript? The type of an undefined variable is undefined. So if you check the type of an undefined variable, it always returns undefined as the type. For example, let's take a look at an example of what I'm talking about. So if you have a variable, say let's and you didn't assign it any value. Now you bring this up and do the type of car. This will return undefined because the car has no value. So by default, when you assign value to your variable, JavaScript will assign an undefined to it by default. So this is how undefined variables work in JavaScript. So it returns undefined as the type of. Now, any variable can be empty by setting the value to undefined. So as it is now, you can even set its value to undefined and say, okay, undefined. And let's see what we get. To still return undefined. But even if you have a value initially, let's say you do something like maybe under, and later you now reset its value to undefined, then it will still override this. So it will empty it and now set the value to the new value that you just defined. So this is how undefined can override a variable and empty it to return an undefined value. Then also, I want to talk about empty value. So empty value has something to do with undefined. Instead, it has both legal value and a type. And also we have what is called a non-data type. So just for a quick brush through. So when we talked about empty value, is this. So we have a value like this. If you check the type of this now, you will see it will return string. It's just an empty value, does not mean it's undefined. So when you say double quote or a single quote, let's check if a single quote also work. Yeah, you can see, so it will return a string. But as for none, in JavaScript, when you see null, null is nothing, N-U-double-L. This is supposed to be something that doesn't exist. So, but in JavaScript, when you check for the type of null, let me set this to null and check its type, you will see something like an object. Now you can see that the type of a non-data type is object. And then if you want to empty an object, you can set it to null. So if you have here, and then you set its value to null, then it will override it. And then that object will be overwritten. So let me check, let me say return car. You can see that it's not returning anything because the none will override and empty this variable. So if you check the type of it, then it will return object. So because none has a type of object. So let's take a look at another example. So let me make an object and call it person. Then this person will have a first name. This could be something like this. The last name, we do. Then age of 33, eye color of navy green. Now, this is my object. Then this object, I can set it to a value of none like this to empty the value that I already have for the object. And now let me try to output the value. Document.get element by ID. Demo 1 with now HTML. Type of person is person. And now let's see this. You can see the type of person is none, which means that this non-value that is reassigned here will override the previous value that this object has. And you will see that I am now getting a none as the value for the type of person in this example. So let's move on. You can also empty an object by setting it to undefined. So as well, you can set this to undefined to empty the value of that object, which is this. And then you can now see that we have undefined, as you can see right there on my screen. So moving on, let's look at the difference between undefined and null. Now, undefined and null are equal in value, but different in type. So both the undefined and null data type are equal in value when you check their value. But when you check their type, they are different. For example, let's look at this. So if you check the type of person now, so I want to take this part out. Type of person. Now you can see that this returns undefined as the type of undefined. But if I change this to null this way, you will see this as objects, and you can see, so they have the same value, but their type is different. One carries object as the type of, which is the non-data type, while undefined has undefined as the type of, and also carries undefined as the value. So this is the difference between the both undefined and null in JavaScript.